conversation about protecting children and the First Amendment can both coincide. To give us another side to this issue is Marilyn Rodriguez from the ACLU of Arizona. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, of course, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Some bills in the legislature, and they are surrounding the same thing, which would require companies with adult content to go further in protecting children. Is it the ACLU's position that this is pushing against or violating the First Amendment right of these companies?
Yes, and I want to make sure I make clear, like, parents certainly have valid concerns about protecting their kids on the internet, like, absolutely. But that's not what these bills do. And I think that's what politicians bank on when they introduce this sort of thing. They don't expect people to read the text. Well, the ACLU read the text. These bills never even mention porn. It's not about that. It goes so much further.
So what is it that you disagree with? If it was specifically about pornographic websites, would you have the issue that you have?
I don't know that we would. These bills, they're a massive and unprecedented expansion of internet censorship and government surveillance on everyday people. In one of these bills, that failure to comply will mean $100,000 per violation. So that means a website owner could be liable for several $1 million for a single advertisement for something like a Star Wars ad or a single zombie. The language in this legislation is so broad and not specific. For goodness sakes, this could apply to Netflix, PlayStation, the Boy Scouts, all the way to junior ROTC programs, Pop Warner, youth gun clubs. When we read these bills, these are the things that make being a kid fun. And so to take the approach of protecting kids online in this manner would be akin to, like, banning baseball to prevent a scraped knee. It's so extreme.
One of the sponsors of 2112 said that they modeled that bill specifically after a Texas law that has already been blessed by the Supreme Court. Do you disagree that that's true?
Yes, no. A lot of these laws are modeled after other laws in other states. They're being enjoined. They're getting struck down, right? They're getting struck down for being too extreme in their implementation. And that is certainly what we believe would happen here. Kids deserve our protection and support, but rather than creating a digital surveillance state, we've told Mr. Kupfer this and others, instead of creating these broad bans on content, parents can create a safe space for kids online with tools like voluntary content filtering and parental controls, which in a lot of these cases, the folks in the industry direct them to.
So the devil's advocate, I did the same thing with him on the other side, is when I was a kid, no internet. When you had adult material, adult magazines, they were kept behind the counter. They were kept with covers over the magazines, so children couldn't have access to them because parents aren't with children 24 hours a day. Do you think there needs to be something in place that protects a child when they're not around their parents, they're at somebody else's house?
Yeah, I think yes. But, let's leave that parenting to the parents. There are less restrictive means of doing this that aren't a blanket ban on content. Like, one of the bills says you can't advertise to any kid something related to violence. Violence can mean a lot of things, Mike. That can mean Star Wars, right? That can mean Paw Patrol. That is so broad. And so I disagree with the framing of what these bills even are. And yes, you certainly want to make sure that kids are safe online. There are tools that are way less restrictive and way less punitive that are much safer and much more effective that we encourage people to use.
Well, Ms. Rodriguez, I appreciate the time. I appreciate this conversation. I think getting both sides of this is important for voters to understand, and we thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, important issue. It's not going to end right here. We're going to keep talking about it. Stick around.